Welcome back, guys. Uh, Good evening, and of course, welcome to the last session for the day. We have been here for more than say 15, 16 hours now. 2.5 hours remain, not even two and a half. Uh, Nikhil, in this situation, I think what are those areas is more important, wherein you feel there's some kind of issue or concern. Raise some doubts. Let's see if we can address your concerns. Of course, Neil, just remind me at the end of the session again. Good evening, guys. Okay. So, we are done with our discussion on panchayats. Let's begin our discussion on the municipalities now. So, municipalities find a mention under Part 9A. Panchayats, Part 9. Municipalities, Part 9A. And we have Articles 243P to 243ZG. So, panchayats were Articles 243 to 243O. So, after O, we have P, and then continued till Z, then ZA, ZB, ZC, ZD, so on and so forth till ZG. Now, as far as municipalities are concerned, a couple of things to understand. Of course, see, our municipalities or the urban areas in the country command lesser population. At least currently, it does command lesser population. Roughly 32% people live in rural areas, urban areas. But as per the National Commission on Population, by 2036, around 38 to 40% people will be living in urban areas. So this number is set to increase to 40%. And secondly, even if you find that the number of people living in urban areas is less, the contribution to GDP from the urban areas is very high. So just to give you a figure, population around 32%, but contribution to GDP is somewhere close to 63%. And this is only going to increase to 75% by 2030. So some estimates say that the contribution of the urban areas into our total GDP is going to be 3/4, right? That's a very huge number. So that's it. Now, as far as the municipalities are concerned, panchayats were added through the 73rd Amendment Act. Municipalities were added through the 74th Amendment Act. And same thing here, we have added some articles and we have also added a Schedule 12. So for the municipalities or for the panchayats, we had Schedule 11. For the municipalities, we have Schedule 12, containing 18 functional items. For panchayats, we had 29 topics. Same thing here. These are topics on which the panchayats or municipalities can be allowed to make provisions. And as far as the provision is concerned for municipalities, it is exactly the same. Nothing unique is being offered here. Same provisions. So you have the same SEC. Who is an SEC? State Election Commissioner. You have the same SFC, State Finance Commission. You have the same audit mechanism, right? So all these things are exactly the same. Now, coming to reservation here, just to add this point, reservation. Now, reservation is of two kinds, one for members, other for chairperson. So here we have reservation for SC/ST. That is based on what? Based on population. Okay. Second is for women, which is at least 1/3. What is different? Different is the reservation for chairpersons. Now, at the level of panchayats, even for chairpersons, 1/3 seats are reserved for women, and the SC/ST reservation is based on population percentage. But at the municipality level, for chairpersons, for SCs, for ST, or for women, no fixed seats. It will be decided by the state legislature by law. State legislature by law decides. I hope this point is clear. This can be a prelims based question, so please keep note of it, that when it comes to women's seat or women's reservation in municipalities for chairpersons, not members, for chairpersons, nothing is mentioned that you have to have at least 1/3 seats and all. Respective state governments can decide as to what is going to be the number of seats to be reserved for women. Okay, that's the scenario. Now, categories of municipalities. So we have three categories of municipalities. Number one is municipal corporation. Number two is council. Number three is Nagar Panchayat. Yes, there is a name called Panchayat, but this is an urban area only. Now, let me clarify one thing here. If you look at panchayats, the structure of panchayats is in the form of hierarchy. You have a Zilla Parishad. Under a Zilla Parishad, you will have lot of intermediate panchayats. And under an intermediate panchayat, you will have lot of gram panchayats. Yes or no? Correct. But this hierarchy does not exist for what? This hierarchy does not exist for municipalities. Municipalities or different kinds of municipalities depends on the size, the area, the population, density population, etc. of the particular place. So municipalities are arranged somewhat like this. Let me draw here. So some area could be a municipal corporation, some area could be a Nagar Panchayat, and some area could be a municipal council. It is based, so different areas are there. It is not that a municipal council is under a corporation. So basically, municipal corporations are for larger urban areas, big cities. Council is for smaller urban areas, tier 2, tier 3 towns. And Nagar Panchayat is for transitional area. So outskirts of bigger cities, you see all these areas are coming up, which used to be villages, but now they are very rapidly changing their demographics with respect to, say, increased population, high density of population. A lot of people are now shifting to a non-agricultural activity, transitional area, meaning from rural to urban. That is a transition happening for these areas. This is what is the three categories of municipalities that we have in the country. Now, who will demarcate whether an area is a municipal corporation or council or Nagar Panchayat? Governor, meaning the state government, decided by governor via notification or an executive order, meaning there is no need to make a law, issue a notification and decide. And what can be a criteria? It could be population, it could be density of population, it could be economic importance of that area, or number of people employed in non-agricultural activities. In fact, this is a very important marker to categorize an area as an urban area. When more and more people shift towards a non-agricultural profession, we call that area to be largely urban. So these are some very generic markers used. For example, a very typical, I'll tell you, marker of rural areas economic prosperity is purchasing two-wheelers, because more than half the people of this country, or more than half the two-wheeler sales, happen in rural areas. Almost 53 to 55% of the two-wheeler sales happen in rural areas. So sale of two-wheeler vehicles is actually a marker of prosperity for rural areas. Similarly, a very important marker for determining whether an area is rural or urban is how many people are employed in activities beyond agriculture, right? So these are some of the criteria based on which we have municipalities. We have roughly 206 municipal corporations, 1683 municipal councils, and we have 2411 2411 Nagar Panchayats. Numbers are not important. And even if you want to remember the numbers, it is better to remember roughly 200, over 1500, over 2000. That is sufficient. Okay. See, please understand, I am only going to teach you polity and such topics like, say, maybe governance, etc., or similar topics, online, offline classes. Basically, I am limited to teaching certain topics. And environment faculty will teach only environment. Geography faculty, geography. History faculty, history. Economics faculty, economics. But you have to mug up all the topics. So please never compare the amount of data that a faculty gives you with what you can memorize. Understand the challenges. It is almost impossible to memorize all the topics or all the data. So always memorize data in a very estimated format. Now your estimate should be very close. For example, if you have to mention about the municipal corporations, don't say we have dozens of municipal corporations. That shows that you have no idea only. Or say we have 1 lakh municipal corporations. That would be wrong. Rough estimate, we have around a couple of hundred, 300 municipal corporations. That is sufficient information. So always mug up data in this form only, in a rough estimate. there is no point in, of course, if you write an exact figure, it is amazing, but that's not possible. So be realistic in your expectations. You have to mug up thousands of data in 50, 60 topics. Be realistic. Okay. Now, let me help you in understanding the pattern of municipal administration. What exactly is the pattern of municipal administration like? So, in a city, again, let's start with the diagram. Let's say this is your city, an urban area. This urban area is divided into various small parts. What are these small parts called? These small parts will be called ward. So all those people living in cities now, you can understand. So your urban area will be divided into various small parts. This is an urban area. Okay. Now, next point. All these wards, small areas, the people like you and me living in those areas, we will choose some local person who will represent the interest of our ward. And they will form a part of what we know as mayor in council. Okay. So, mayor in council refers to the chairperson and ward members. Are you clear? It is this chairperson who is called mayor in most of the states. Now, one point. Ward members direct election. Mayor, state legislature decides. So in some states, mayors are directly elected. Recently, I think Bihar has passed this provision. MP, UP, Jharkhand, Odisha, Uttarakhand, Chhattisgarh. In other places, ward members from amongst themselves will choose somebody to act as a mayor. Okay, this is the mayor in council, which is actually the legislative body. Just like the parliament, they are elected by the people. Now, see, these ward members are not experts in city administration, and city administration is a very complicated exercise. So, the government also nominates or appoints a group of people, experts, who form part of what we know as standing committee. Okay, this standing committee comprises of experts who are all appointed by the state government. Okay, and this standing committee gives advice to the mayor in council. Now, mayor in council will, of course, be a legislative body. But if the mayor and council takes any decision, let's say mayor and council says that we want to install 5 street lights, lamp posts in that colony, who will perform the task of implementing that particular policy? Somebody has to be there. That will be people like you. So the third body is what is the municipal commissioner's office. This is where you have at the top a municipal commissioner, usually an IAS officer, either directly appointed or promotee, and you also have other administrative staff. This is what is the executive body. So a lot of you here, because see, not everybody can become district magistrate. Some of you will become municipal commissioner also in a municipal council, smaller area, maybe in future a municipal commissioner for a large corporation also. And that's a very important post, because as a municipal commissioner, you have a lot of experience to gain with respect to city planning and urban administration, because city planning is a very difficult exercise. Lot of things are involved. So this is a very important post to gain a lot of experience when it comes to your career. So it's a very lucrative kind of post. And of course, if you are somebody who is interested in making some kind of money, then maybe this is also an effective post if you're that kind of person. Now comes a very simple understanding that you have to develop. In this situation, mayor and council takes a decision that we want to say install some street lights, whatever decision is being taken by the mayor and council. We want to clean those drains, we want to install a new drainage system, we want to plant trees in that particular area, whatever. Mayor and council will give recommendations to the municipal commissioner. Am I clear? Mayor and council gives recommendations. The final authority to act on the recommendations is the municipal commissioner. So please understand that this body gives recommendations only. The municipal commissioner, the real head, the final authority, and the mayor and council is just a deliberative body which can only give recommendations. Limited to giving recommendations, right? So this is with respect to our city administration. I hope you have understood this point and there will be no problem whatsoever. This system of administration is what is called commissionerate system. Why? Because commissioner has a real power. This was a system brought by Britishers, and logically because they wanted the commissioner, the Indian civil service officer, to have the real power. And that is why this pattern is also known as Bombay pattern of administration. This entire structure is called the Bombay pattern or the commissionerate pattern. Okay, so this is what it is referred to. Why commissionerate? Because the real power lies in the hands of the commissioner, not the elected people like the mayor and council, right? So this is the pattern of municipal administration, slightly different from that of panchayats. There is no hierarchy, three different categories of people performing three different tasks. When this particular administration is in a very big area, a capital city, important cities in our country, we'll call it corporation. If it's in a small town, or say a decently sized town, we'll call it a council. And if it's in a very small town, which was maybe till recently an urban area, we'll call it a Nagar Panchayat. The system remains the same. Okay. Now, one more important element. When it comes to municipal or municipalities, municipality is a general term for urban administration. Just like panchayat is a general term for rural administration, municipality is a general term for urban administration. So under Part 9A, that is the 74th Amendment Act, there are two kinds of bodies which are established in the Constitution. One is the bodies for self-governance. We have just seen that. Those bodies are the municipal corporation, the municipal council, and the Nagar Panchayat. Okay, that's it. Apart from it, there is also, there are two bodies which are meant for grassroots planning. These bodies have been provided for under Part 9A, not under Part 9. These are the bodies called District Planning Committee and Metropolitan Planning Committee, DPC. This is again a constitutional body under Article 243 ZD. This also Article 243 ZE. Two constitutional bodies provided for only under municipalities, not under panchayats. Now, what is the task performed by these two bodies? One more thing. What is a metropolitan area? Metropolitan area, as per the Constitution, in the Indian Constitution, Article 243P Clause C defines a metropolitan area and says any area with a population more than 10 lakhs is a metropolitan area. Just to mention this point here, metropolitan area where population is more than 10 lakh. Okay, that's it. Now, what is this DPC? What is this MPC? DPC is the District Planning Committee. MPC is the Metropolitan Planning Committee. See, as far as DPC is concerned, their only task, one and only task, is to prepare development plans for the entire district. Now, in one district, you will have urban area also, rural area also. So, the purpose and the only purpose of DPC is just this. They perform no other task, right? Their purpose is to prepare draft development plan, how to plan the district in a better fashion. They give suggestions. They prepare the plan and then they submit report to whom? Now, there's a very interesting provision here. You know, normally any constitutional body or any statutory body at the state level, central level, to whom does the body submit report? It's standard, president or governor, right? Think of any statutory or any constitutional body, they will always submit the report to the president or governor. I mean, officially to the president or governor. That is what is mentioned in the constitution also, or in that law also. DPC and MPC are the only exceptions. These bodies submit the report not to the governor, but to the state government. And in the constitution, this is the word mentioned. Maybe the makers, the ones who made the changes, did not follow this properly, but it could be a oversight also. But that is the word mentioned, a very unique provision, that these two constitutional bodies actually submit report not to the governor, but to the state government. Okay. One more thing. In fact, this question has been asked once, not in UPSC, but in a state PCS examination. So normally, state PCS exams are not seen as examinations which ask such unique kind of questions. So, I mean, in a state PCS exam, they ask you hilarious questions. In one state PCS exam, they asked a question, who was the sponsor for 1987 World Cup, Cricket World Cup? How can somebody in 2015 know who was the sponsor of 1987 World Cup? It's not logical. Or in one famous situation, they asked a question, Mahatma Gandhi's dead body was carried by 4 people. 3 people's name are there. Who was the 4th one? I mean, how do you remember this? Even the biggest fans of Gandhi would not remember such names. But now, slowly and steadily, the state PCS have tried to improve their type of questions. In fact, even the recently held, after a long period, for the first time, the state PCS held in Telangana, the quality of questions was pretty decent. Pretty decent. I won't say amazing, pretty decent. Anyway, so that is there. So what kind of plans will they suggest? For example, spatial planning, how to plan the spaces effectively. That's there. Water sharing between the urban area and the rural area. Environment conservation. Infrastructure development. So such things are mentioned for DPC. And physical and natural resources, all such things. Now, what is the membership of DPC? Please focus on this. DPC, District Planning Committee, the article for which is 243 ZD. It has 2 types of members. Two types of members. Number 1, all those people who are elected members. Elected members of the panchayats and municipalities in the district. So at the district level, or rather right, at the district level. So members of Zilla Parishad, members of municipalities. 4/5 of the members of DPC are these people. 1/5 of the members are experts. They are appointed by the government. and anybody can be a member. There is no bar on ministers from being members. Ministers can be members, CM can be member, minister can be a chairperson, MP, MLA, MLC, anybody can be a member, because you have this option of experts. So some minister can become expert member. Whether he is expert or not, nobody cares, but he can become member. So this is all about DPC. Okay. Exact same provisions are for MPC also. Exactly same functions. No difference at all. Some things will change, like the article will change. Article 243 ZE, right here only, ZE. Here also, report submitted to the government of state. Example, same as DPC. Okay. Here also, the MPC will have two types of members, but slight difference. In this case, 1/3 members will be experts and 2/3 members will be elected members of municipalities and chairpersons in the Zilla Parishad. Sorry, chairpersons at the chairpersons in the panchayats. That is all three levels. Okay. So this is with respect to the MPC membership. 1/3 people are experts, 2/3 people are elected members of municipalities, and also chairpersons in the panchayat in that particular metropolitan area. So the only difference is DPC is for a district other than metropolitan areas, and MPCs for those metropolitan areas where the population is more than 10 lakhs. That's the only difference. Otherwise, the provisions are exactly the same. Okay. Here also, anyone can become member. MP, MLA, MLC, minister, etc. And before you ask me, no, this is not an office of, somebody's asked, of course. So this is not an office of profit. Okay, that's it. So that is as far as the MPC and DPC are concerned. Solve this question asked in 2011. Oh. 54% have marked A, which is correct. Consider the following statements. In India, a metropolitan planning committee is constituted under the provisions of the Indian Constitution. Of course, it is a constitutional body. One is correct. This cannot be the answer only. Prepares a draft development plan for the metropolitan area. Of course, that is correct. 2 is correct. This can't be the answer only. Now, has the sole responsibility for implementing government-sponsored schemes in the metropolitan area. As I said, the MPC has only one task: preparing draft development plan for the metropolitan area. No other task. 3 is wrong. Right answer is A, 1 and 2 only. Okay. Now, one more question. Please solve this question also. Asked in 2011. Very simple question, but please, my request would be to read the statement carefully. I'll give it 30 seconds and mark accordingly. VS, why is it not considered office of profit? It is exempted from office of profit. As simple as that. Shalu, is it mentioned in the... Shalu, I am mentioning the article. If I am mentioning the article, it automatically means that is a part of the constitution, right? 53% marked C. That is good, but others, I think this is a very easy question. The 73rd Amendment Act 1992, which aims at promoting Panchayati Raj, provides for which of the following? Constitution of DPC. This DPC is provided for by the 74th Amendment Act 1992. This is not mentioned in the 73rd Act, but in the 74th Act. So one is wrong. Remove one, remove one, remove one. We have the answer C, 2 and 3. Yes, SEC is mentioned in the constitution. Guys, when I give the article number for something, it automatically means that that provision is mentioned in the constitution. What else is the meaning? If I say DPC is article 243 ZD, it means that particular provision is mentioned in the article D 243 ZD or ZE. So that is of course going to be a part of the constitution. Same goes for SFC, article 243K. Okay, so this is there with respect to the members of DPC, MPC, the performance of functions, and of course other elements that are there. So we have the DPC, we have the MPC, and that's it. We are done with our discussion on the municipalities. Now, the problems pertaining to urban administration. Okay. First up, see, there'll be some common problems. For example, corruption, common problem here also. Anybody who has gone to get some tasks done in the municipal office, you would know very well how honest the people are there. Then excessive government control and poor devolution of 3 Fs. That is there, 3 Fs. What are the 3 Fs? Funds, functions, and functionaries. The 3 Fs. Then inadequate capacity building. What is capacity building? Training. So training of the municipality staff is not efficient. But then there are some other unique kind of problems. A problem of unplanned and haphazard urbanization. So, you know, our cities have not been planned to grow. They just grow on their own. When people migrate, the city keeps on expanding, taking in the neighboring parts and grows. And that is why, because this urbanization has become very haphazard and is unplanned, you will have plenty of problems associated with such kind of poorly planned urbanization. For example, let's start the very basic thing. First up, completely unmitigated migration. Because of migration, excessive number of people are living in our big cities. You have rise of slums, then lot of people, limited resources. You will have the infrastructure is completely crippled infrastructure, too many people dependent on limited resources, then excessive population. A lot of you would agree on this point also. Traffic congestion. And whichever city I go to, especially for the offline classes, not for traveling but offline classes, because normally our offline centers are in very typical market areas. So people always say, sir, traffic congestion will be very high in this city. But frankly, in every city the story is the same. Whether you go to Chennai, Hyderabad, Delhi, Bangalore, it does not really matter. In all these major cities, you will have immense traffic congestion, irrespective of how beautiful the roads are or otherwise. Then you have shortage, power, water shortage. That's there. Then because of rise of slums, you face other issues like you have pollution, water pollution, air pollution, very high levels of sound pollution, rising pollution levels. So various kind of problems are there associated with our very poorly planned cities, unplanned and haphazard. Okay, so this is there. Then other issues can be rising level of crimes. Uh, it could also be issues of sanitation, hygiene, right? As I said, water shortage. That is why, sometimes people say that the life of an urban poor is way more difficult than a rural poor. I'll repeat my point. Life of an urban poor is way more challenging and difficult compared to a rural poor. At least a rural poor living in a slightly safer environment, a pollution free environment, right? And also, uh, because rural areas have lesser population, right? That's again a big advantage for them. Go to any such city which has lesser population, and you will find that there is a drastic decrease in pollution levels, right? Improved quality of life. What is quality of life? It's a very subjective opinion. You can say, sir, I cannot purchase Tom Ford clothing in, say, Himachal Pradesh. Of course, you can't. But that is that quality of life, or having a better environment a quality of life? It is subjective. But if you look at quality of life as having a clean environment, then such places are way more worthy of being called having better quality of life. The, say, Himachal, Uttarakhand, say northeastern states, go to Kerala, right? Of course, tier 2, tier 3 towns across the country, rural areas across the country has the same kind of advantage that is there. So with big cities come jobs, increasing cost of living, and also all these plethora of problems. That's a compromise we have to make. Then there is an absence of urban way of life also. I'll explain this point. See, and nowadays we have all these YouTube channels and all, and a lot of people are coming on the social media now. A lot of these so-called journalists have now come on social media. So, and even for a lot of youngsters who go and keep on asking questions. So, this point has been referred to also in various reports, and I got a live experience of this kind of point while I was going through some social media post on YouTube. So, this person had gone to conduct some interview and was asking all the people of Bombay. See, Mumbai is a capital, financial capital, and a city where people are seemingly more aware. That is what our belief is, right? If you are living in a city, you should be more educated, more aware. So people were being asked just before the elections, last elections, what are your expectations from the new government in power which will come? How will you vote? And people said, if the government provides water, if they clean the roads, if they provide street lights, wait. These expectations are from government, but these expectations should be from the municipal corporation. I mean, why don't you, if your street does not have proper lighting, did you ever bother approaching the ward council of your area? No, we don't know only. That is a big problem. There is hardly any pressure on the municipal bodies to perform because people's expectation, light is not in my house. Narendra Modi is the problem. I am not, the sewage is overflowing. Mamata Banerjee is the culprit. No, sirs, ma'ams, please understand. Municipal bodies are the real perpetrators of such kind of issues. We have to have our expectations from right people and then force them into performing the functions. It is not our task that the municipal corporation is not getting funds. It is their responsibility to claim funds from the state government. We will approach the municipal corporation only. And that is a sad reality. Despite living in urban areas, people do not really have awareness. Despite higher literacy, lesser awareness. And see, not to undermine anyone, but I'll tell you something very frankly. You go to any small town, tier 2, tier 3 town, the amount of awareness about political issues that those kids have, the city kids simply don't have it. Of course, city kids may also have a lot of awareness on when is the next concert of some superstar, or what kind of cinema is being released in Spain, or what is a new latest OTT platform release, of course, or some new pair of clothing, right? This you'll have awareness of. But the real political issues, sadly, is lacking. So the city people are lacking in such kind of awareness. Now, of course, you can say, sir, we are never taught this only in our school system. We can always blame things. So the same school system is for the people of tier 2, tier 3 towns also. They are more aware in such political activities. That is the, I would say, an advantage of living in such areas, that they are more aware of such activities, which is a very sad situation for people in urban areas, because ideally, if you're living in a big city, you are living amongst people with higher education levels, better literacy levels. So you should be more aware of your rights, etc., which is not the case. And this places the municipal corporation at the advantage. Nobody expects them to perform. People are blaming the chief minister and the home minister and prime minister, that in my house or in my area, in my colony, street lights don't work. What to do? This Narendra Modi government is useless. And then you keep on blaming the wrong people, and the people whose task is to perform, they're happy and enjoying their life, playing solitaire in their offices. Then, lack of quality leadership at city level. See, I'll ask you a simple question. if all the people sitting here, I'll ask you, please name 5 prime ministers of the country. Of course, you can name 5 prime ministers. Some of you can name 10, 15, all prime ministers. If I ask you name 5 CMs, everybody can name 5 CMs. But if I ask you, name the mayor of your own city, forget 5 mayors, name the mayor of your own city, a lot of you will be left wanting even to name the mayor of your own city. This shows what? It's not your fault per se. The post of mayor is never seen as a very important political post. People become mayors because they eventually want to get noticed by the political party, want to get a ticket, become MP, MLA, minister, prime minister. That's the target. The post of mayor is just a stepping stone to higher political levels. Lack of quality leadership, seen as a ticket or a way to get into politics at state or national level. And then politically, the focus is still on rural areas. I mean, see, of course, in a democracy, the value is of numbers. Number is what is of value. Where is the population? Urban areas. So, of course, as a politician, if I am seeking votes of people, my interest is always going to be to focus on the urban areas, rural areas, because that's where the vote bank is. And that is why you can see there are so many committees and commissions which have been created, established to give recommendations on how to improve the panchayat administration. But you can literally count on fingers the commissions formed or created or established to improve the municipal administration. In fact, for most states, they did not even have an urban affairs ministry till 2000s. That shows very well the intention behind our governments. Completely lacks luster opinion or approach towards improving the urban administration. So that is there. In fact, if you observe also, municipalities are nothing but the same panchayat provisions. That is why some people say that, municipalities or 74th Amendment Act that is meant for municipalities is nothing but the same panchayat dish garnished with municipal sauce. So here and there we have thrown some term municipality. We have garnished it differently. It is the same dish that is being served to the rural areas, being served to the urban areas. Nothing new is being offered to urban areas. That's there. And finally, here also, existence of parallel bodies. Here also, existence of MP lads, MLA lads, all these things are there. Parallel bodies are there. In fact, in urban areas are called institutional jungles. Excessive number of institutions, overlapping functions, overlapping responsibilities. And whenever you have overlapping responsibilities, meaning 2 or 3 bodies are performing the same function or are expected to perform the same function, nobody performs the function. If you've heard of this very famous story, that this king asked all the subjects in his kingdom to bring a vessel of milk and pour the milk in the king's pond. Next morning, when the king went to see the pond, the entire pond was full of water. Why? Because everybody brought a vessel of water and poured it, thinking that others are pouring in milk, let me pour water. And nobody poured milk. So when you have overlapping functions, nobody performs the functions. That's there. How to improve upon this situation? We'll again look towards second ARC to give us some recommendations. Recommendation number 1, and a very logical recommendation. It's high time now that we form a proper commission on urbanization, and that commission can give us recommendations on how to improve and plan our cities. At least, if not what is happening right now, the upcoming tier 2 towns, they can be planned better, or else they will end up being the new Mumbais and Calcuttas and Delhis and Chennais and all. At least we can plan them in a better fashion, right? So that they don't face the same kind of issues that our current bigger cities are facing. The first and the only commission that was formed was in 1985 under the chairmanship of Charles Correa. Charles Corey was a very famous architect. People who belong to Jaipur would know that this place called Jawahar Kala Kendra, it was designed by Charles Corey only, where you have most of the Jaipur literature festivals. Anyway, so far only one commission on urbanization, 1985. It's high time we need to have a commission on urbanization. Second thing, SEC, second ARC says, take MPC and DPC seriously. These bodies can be effectively utilized to give proper recommendations on improving the city administration, proper planning of cities. And that is why the SEC should choose members for MPC and DPC, not the government. Don't let the government appoint the members, because government will appoint some of their favorites, some cousin, some relative, and send them there. So that should not be the case. Then additional functions should be given to municipalities. Things like school education, public health, traffic management, all these things should ideally be given to municipalities only, right? Then mayors should be elected directly. So this is not happening in all the cities. So the second ARC said that let us have direct election for mayors, and that will make the person more, give the person more authority and respect, and will also invite more important leaders to come and become mayors. Then we have to also undertake comprehensive property tax reforms. Now, one very big problem in our urban areas is this property tax. See, first thing, I'll give you a very simple problem that you must have seen happening maybe amongst your relatives, in your families, etc. Simple example. Let's take you want to purchase a flat. Say a 2 BHK flat. 2-bedroom hall kitchen. The area is whatever, 1200 square feet or whatever. The flat's cost is 1 crore. Okay. You go to the builder and say, sir, I will give you 70 lakh rupees through proper channels. I'll give you 30 lakh rupees as black money, cash. Builder says, very good. And he accepts it. What is your advantage? And what is the loss for the government? Loss is tax. Let us assume that the property tax is 10%. It is never 10%, but let's assume it's 10%. If the property tax was 10%, for the sale of 1 crore worth of property, government would be getting 10 lakh rupees. Yes or no? But now, on the paper, the property price is 70 lakhs. Government is getting only 7 lakh rupees. Loss of 3 lakh rupees for the municipal corporation. And then we claim, oh, services are poor, roads are not proper. But are we paying our taxes properly? That's also a concern. And don't you think it is a duty and responsibility of the person sitting in the office that if in that particular area, all the properties are being sold for 1 crore, 1.05 crores, why is this property being registered for 70 lakh rupees suddenly? Don't you think it should be my responsibility as a person sitting in the office? But no checks, nothing is happening. Government's rates are not modified also. So we have to also undertake comprehensive property tax reforms. It's very, very important. Now, there is something called Article 276. So every individual who is a working professional has to pay across the country something called a professional tax. There is a limit on how much we can pay. So the professional tax, there is an upper ceiling fixed. Currently, it is rupees 2,500 per year. And this was last modified in 1988 by the 60th Amendment Act. It was modified. So now the time has come to increase this limit. It is very small. So whoever is a working professional here, you would find that in your salary every month, they are deducting some money. In some states, they deduct 600 per quarter, so 2,400. So in some states, they deduct 1,250 every 6 months. Most states have a simple formula. They deduct 200 rupees per month. But the maximum limit is fixed. 2500. Second ARC says enhance the upper ceiling. We have to tax people more. Also, the 14th, not the 15th one, the previous Finance Commission, 14th Finance Commission had said increase it to at least 1000 per month, meaning rupees 12,000 per year. That should be the professional tax that should be charged on the people. Then enhance fines for civic offenses. What are civic offenses? Example of civic offenses can mean things like spitting on the road, say littering the streets, throwing garbage on the street, etc., jumping the signal, etc., not wearing a helmet. So we should increase fines for civic offenses. See, collection of fines is a very important source of revenue for the government. That is why sometimes you must have find in certain times before every quarter, the traffic police becomes very active. They'll be hiding behind bushes, and when you are driving without a helmet to protect your hairstyle, suddenly they jump in, take away your bike keys and say, come on now. Because they have to meet a target. That's there. But the point is, see, this recommendation is very genuine, appreciated. But there is a break-even point. You keep on increasing fines, at certain point of time, it will backfire. Simple example. Let's say not wearing a helmet, or say spitting on the road, right? Or not wearing a helmet. Let's assume for an example that the fine is 100 rupees. Okay. Now, when you are driving, the constable stops you, you say, fine, how much fine? 100 rupees. Take 100 rupees. I'm a true patriot. I don't bribe anyone. Fair enough. Very good. Let's say the government increases the fine now to 1000 rupees. Now, some people will feel 1000 is too much. Dear traffic constable, can you take 500 rupees and leave me? Right? If you increase the fine further to say 10,000 rupees, now for every individual, their patriotism and nationalism dies its natural death. Now you will feel it's better to give some kind of bribe than to pay 10,000 rupees. You will say, sir, take 200 rupees and let me go. And we know very well that what has been the situation with respect to traffic constables in our country. I mean, it's difficult to ask you right now, but wherever I've gone in this entire country and I've asked the students, I've been told hilarious situations of bribes being accepted. In fact, some people claim that the traffic constable accepted Maggie packet as a bribe, real juice packet as a bribe, 2 cigarettes from one student as a bribe. This is a situation, right? Anything that you have, they'll say, come on, give it. That's there. So anyway, so yes, enhancing fines is okay, but not beyond a certain point, because then the collection will only decrease and will only increase the bribery. Then at least municipalities should be encouraged to access capital market through instruments such as bonds. So in your economics classes, you must have heard about bonds. What are bonds? Bonds are debt instruments which are used to raise money. So a lot of these, now at least we are witnessing a lot of these municipal corporations are raising bonds and generating resources. For example, you have Ahmedabad, even Lucknow recently. We have cities like Pune, Bhopal, Surat, etc. Okay. And also, at least the bigger municipal corporations should also try to generate revenue on their own. Maybe they can start running some kind of enterprise, maybe a bus service. A very good example is bus service. For example, in Mumbai, you have the best Bus services in Mumbai. Uh, Best is not best in quality. Best stands for uh, Brihan Mumbai electric supply and transport. That is what is best bus service. But again, there is a very good opportunity for an individual, for the municipal corporation to raise revenue and not be dependent on the state government only for funds. So these are some second year's recommendations that can be incorporated while you address the needs of any kind of question. Okay. Now, types of urban local governments. There are various types of urban local governments. You'll find this mentioned under chapter 39 of your Lakshmikant. Please understand, all these topics, these various categories are not really important for the examination. Municipal corporation, municipality, then what is the notified area committee, town committee, like cantonment board is a military area which comes under defense ministry. So these topics are not really important for the examination, at least in the last 20, 30 years. Not a single question has been asked from this topic. Not a single question, prelims or mains. So I don't see any need for anyone to read these topics. But if you say, no, sir, I want to mug up users information, you have the book Lakshmikant, please mug up users information. Nobody is disturbing you. But my advice would be, don't worry, don't mug up this. Nobody is going to ask you a question on this. Not important. Okay, that is there. Now we have the 15 Finance Commission recommendation on local self-governance. Do we need a break, guys? What do you suggest? A for yes, B for no. A for yes and B for no. Democracy. We'll follow democratic norms. Okay, a lot of you want a break. So let's take a break, a small break, not too much of, no. What is small? Nothing is small. I'll give you 10 minutes of break. Okay, let's come back at 7:05 sharp, and I will start the session at 7:05 without waiting for people to join. So please join before that. Break till 7:05, last break. Break, please, guys. Okay, let's continue. So now we have the 15th Finance Commission recommendations with respect to local self-governance. So some generic recommendations that I'll give you here, and I would expect you to mug up these elements or these aspects and write them in your answers whenever the questions are asked. First up is a recommendation for the money being spent. So as far as the total grants are concerned, this would be for 2021 to 2026, the 5-year period. And 4.36 lakh crore rupees are to be devolved to the panchayats and municipalities, right? So this money is going to go to the panchayats as well as municipalities, not just the panchayats. One good thing is that around 70,000 crores to be spent on healthcare for healthcare. That's also there. This ratio is roughly 2:1. So of this 4.36 lakh crores, roughly 65 to 67% will go to the panchayats and 33 to 35% will go to the municipalities. That's there. Now, where will the panchayats spend this particular type of fund? So panchayats and municipalities in general, whatever money they receive, 60% has to be spent on national priorities like drinking water, sanitation, rainwater harvesting, such things. Things like sanitation, rainwater harvesting, etc. Okay. 40% will be untied, meaning what? The panchayats and municipalities can spend on their own. Can be spent on providing basic services. So, and mind you, till 10 years back, this was only 7%. 93% of funds given to panchayats were always attached to some scheme or program. But now the panchayats are given more liberty to spend at least 40% freely on any topic they want. Then, spending by municipal corporations. So, the 15 Finance Commission says the top 50 most populated cities, 50 million plus cities, meaning all those cities which have a population of more than a million, they will be given certain amount of funds that will be called, I think, a challenge fund is what they're calling it, 38,196 crores. Don't worry, ignore it. So whatever funds are to be given to the municipal corporations, top 50 cities, they will have to spend 1/3 of it in improving air quality, basically achieving the ambient air quality based on whatever quantifiable parameters we have. They have to achieve those particular objectives. And remaining 2/3 can be spent on national priorities. Again, things like drinking water, sanitation, rainwater harvesting, so on and so forth. Okay, that is the spending pattern. What is the criteria for devolution of funds? 90% is population. More populated the area, more the funds. 10% is geographical area also. Difficult terrains, more funds. Forest cover, more funds, etc. Now, one very, very important element, very important element is this. The government has said that, see, we are willing to devolve funds in a timely fashion. One condition. What is the condition? The condition is that you have to submit audit report in public domain, publish it in some official document, print it, publish it on your website. We will be seeing the previous year's audit report, meaning where did you spend the money? And of course, after the expenditure has been evaluated by the state government auditors, we will only be devolving next installment of funds after your audit reports are published online. That is to ensure transparency. So, mandatory publishing of audit reports in public domain. Only then next tranche of funds will be released. Otherwise, funds will not be released. You please give us information on where you are spending money. Okay. And to tell you frankly, the devolution of funds per capita or per person has improved drastically. I'll give you a simple example. Back in 2006-7 to 13-14, the devolution has increased drastically. For example, if you think of, say, the 12th Finance Commission, the funds devolved were roughly 54 rupees per person. Rupees 54 per person across the country, right? Per capita, per person, per year. In the 15th Finance Commission devolution, this fund has increased to 674 rupees per person per year. It is almost 12 times now, right? That has been the increase in the devolution of funds. But before you get your hopes very high, let me clarify one thing here. In the past also we have seen a big problem. Let me attach a very important caveat here. Government has always been found to make all these promises of devolution, but actual amount disbursed or released always falls short. Actual amount disbursed has always fallen short of promised amount in the past. And this has been roughly for the Panchayati Raj institutions, PRIs, the shortfall has been 5 to 18% shortfall. Meaning, if the government has said we are going to give you 100 rupees, they have given sometimes 82 rupees, sometimes 90 rupees, sometimes 95 rupees. For the municipalities or urban local bodies, as we call them, the shortfall has been roughly in the range of 10 to 18%. So that is also a reality of our great government, right? That they promise all these amazing things, but they always do not ensure that the funds reach the people, because sometimes they'll have some kind of issue, shortfall of fund, we did not have money only, etc. Some excuse they'll give and reduce the funds to be devolved to panchayats and municipalities. Are you clear? So that's there with respect to the 15th Finance Commission recommendations. You can incorporate these in your answers when you address the concerns. Lastly, just to summarize, importance of the local self-governance in general. What is the importance? You can use these points to write your answers. Okay. So first up is a very simple idea. See, panchayat is based on two ideas: people's participation and democratic decentralization, right? The point here is this concept of panchayats is seen as the best school of democracy. It's a bedrock of democracy. That is where people learn the real meaning of what is democracy and what it means to be democratic, what it means to have the real power to choose our own representatives and govern ourselves. That is why people say that this is the best school of democracy. If you truly want to understand democracy, that is where you learn democracy and the real advantages of it. Number two, it's direct democracy, of course, meaning people's participation, if not in the urban areas, at least in the rural areas. In the Gram Sabha, what is Gram Sabha? Gram Sabha is where people sit, meet together, and discuss their issues, concern, etc. It's a more capable form of government. Why? Because of local interest, local knowledge. And also interest. I mean, people are way more interested in improving their quality of life and improving their locality, right? That's there. It's a more economic level of government because of availability of cheaper resources. Availability of cheaper human resources. That's an advantage. Then, as Nehru used to say, that the system of governance, the this government as a system at the top can never be successful until and unless it is premised, it is based on a very sound foundation below. If the foundation is strong, grassroots governance is strong, it would be very easy for us to govern at the top. That is why if you have effective governance at local level, it also reduces the burden on the higher levels of governance to perform, which actually also relates to one more point, that if the local government is very effective, only then does it truly symbolize or incorporate the element of decentralization. Because herein I am sitting at the central level trying to send money to the panchayats and municipalities, but if there is no effective democracy there, all the money will end up in the pocket of rich and elite people only. They will corner all the resources, right? So this is where we need to have effective local self-governance, people being made masters of their own destiny. And of course, as most of you sitting here, if you clear the examination anyway, as an IS officer, you will not be given your state cadre. I hope you are aware the 2:1 cadre policy. For every one person who gets their home state as a posting, two outsiders are sent to the state. So it is more likely that you will be given some other state for posting. And also, in the same state as well, you will never be given the same district. It's very unlikely, right? So you keep on getting transferred. As a bureaucrat who is an outsider, you do not really understand the local needs and aspirations of people. It is this local self-government which will sensitize you, tell you of what their aspirations are, what their expectations are, their local needs, their aspirations, their expectations, their goals. How will you come to know? Through interaction with the local self-government people. And of course, because the local self-government is there, they are in a much better position to tap local talent, to make full use of local resources. Otherwise, the local resources, the local talent will go unnoticed and will be neglected. So these are some of the advantages that we have with respect to the local self-governance in the country. Okay, which brings us to an end of our discussion on the local self-government. That's it. We are done with panchayats and municipalities. So for panchayats and municipalities, in your book Lakshmikant, you can refer to chapter 38 and 39. And as far as important articles are concerned, we will have to know Article 243D, 243K, 243I, 243G, 243H, 243ZD, 243ZE. That's it. And of course, important schedules. So tell me the two important schedules that we studied today. Please. Which two schedules? Okay, great. Just to understand that you are still awake. So schedule 11 and schedule 12. Okay, great. So that is what is going to be something we have covered here. Just to address this point, couple of questions asked from panchayats. Look at this question asked in 2020. The strength and sustenance of local institutions, meaning what? Panchayats, municipalities in India has shifted from their formative earlier phase of functions, functionaries, and funds. So basically, 3 Fs. So earlier, our focus was on 3 Fs to the contemporary stage of functionality. Enough of 3 Fs and all. Now focus on this also, functionality. Highlight the critical challenges faced by the local institutions in terms of their functionality in recent times. So basically, this question is nothing but challenges. So in every such question, we will have the intro will be about the local self-governance. So you can mention the 73rd and the 74th Amendment Act. In the body, please mention all the challenges. We have seen so many challenges. Don't mention 3 Fs, mention other challenges. Except 3 Fs. And then in the conclusion, please mention suggestions. How to take care of the challenges. That's it. That is all that is required to be addressed here. That is why now, I don't know if it would be appropriate to make a statement like this, but trust me, if you mug up the slides properly, you will be able to address any and every question that comes in the examination, mains question also. I'm not trying to boast here, but the points are complete, comprehensively covered. You can further add to it some elements, but this would be sufficient to address any kind of concern any kind of question that can also be asked in future from panchayats municipalities. But the point is, you have to mug up all the points. That's there. Okay. So this is Neil, relatable quote. Of course, you can add some quote. Real Swaraj will not come by the acquisition of authority by a few, but by the acquisition of capacity by all to resist authority when abused, as Gandhiji said it. Various kind of quotes can be added. So you should always have some template ready, some kind of quote on panchayats, quote on democracy, quote on rights, etc. Okay, that's there. One more question that came in 2019, again a straightforward question. The reservation of seats for women in the institutions of local self-government has had a limited impact on the patriarchal. What is patriarchy? Patriarchy is where a system in society where most of the decisions are taken by the male members of the society. That is called patriarchy, where the decision maker is the male. Okay, that is called patriarchy. So the reservation of seats for women in the institutions of local self-government has had a limited impact on the patriarchal character of the Indian political process. Comment. So again, in the intro, write about the reservation in the panchayats and municipalities. In the body, refer to some positive impact first. Okay, couple of lines, short paragraph. 3 to 4 lines only. Don't write too much. Then, here mention challenges, and in the conclusion, see, make this conclusion format standard. In the conclusion, what do you write? Suggestions. If you start writing suggestions in the conclusion, you will be saved from thinking on the spot, creating some kind of point, etc. And then you can also write that we should stop seeing women or we should start seeing, visualizing women in politics beyond the role of 3 Bs, as I mentioned today, the 3 Bs, Beti, Bahu, Bivi. So that's there. Other questions of a similar nature. So now my only request is, please write answers. I don't want this melodrama that I can't write, how to write. You all can write. You have written answers in your school and college days. Without that, you have not come here. So please write. You have to start writing at some point of time. Okay, that's it. We are done with the legislature and executive. That part is over. Now we'll enter our discussion on judiciary. Very interesting. And you will see how these people are completely hijacking all the powers in the country. Okay. So we'll have to be very careful also. I don't want to get a case of contempt of court against me. So I'll try to be as respectful as possible when teaching this topic. And I would ask you also, please don't go and file a case against me. So let's, with this particular point, begin our discussion on the judiciary. We know very well, judiciary in our country is a 3-tier structure. We have at the bottom the subordinate courts. Then we have, apart from that, the High Court. And then at the top, we have the Supreme Court. This is the structure for judiciary. We call this as an integrated judiciary. What is integrated? Integrated refers to the point where you can start at one situation, the lower court, file a case there. If not satisfied, go to the next level. If not satisfied, go to the next level. Integrated judiciary. That is what the judiciary is in the country. Okay. Now, first up, we'll discuss the Supreme Court of India. Now, we know very well Supreme Court is, or the provisions are also under Part 5. As you can see, the provisions of Supreme Court are under Part 5 of the Indian Constitution, Chapter 4, Articles 124 to 147, just after 123. Okay. So that is with respect to Article 120. That is with respect to the article on ordinance. Then the next article is the judiciary and the Supreme Court. So we'll first look at the Supreme Court. Now, one more point that you have to understand: whenever in the Constitution, while looking at the articles and provisions, if you find a phrase mentioned called federal court, if by chance you read the Constitution by mistake someday, despite me telling it, if you find this word federal court, that federal court refers to Supreme Court only. Okay. So from 1937 to 1950, it was the federal court. Okay. And it was only on the 28th of January 1950 that we formally established the Supreme Court. Or it should be the opposite. Supreme Court was established. Supreme Court established. Now, beginning with the very first point, number of judges. So Article 124 actually begins with this only. There shall be a Supreme Court of India comprising or consisting of how many judges? Of the Chief Justice and 7 other judges. So originally, we had one Chief Justice of India, CJI, Chief Justice of India, plus 7 other judges. And Parliament, of course, by law, can increase this particular number. So how many judges right now? Parliament by law. What is by law? Simple majority. All it requires is a simple majority by the Parliament to increase the Supreme Court judges. So there was a law passed. What is a law? When you are saying by law, where is the law? The law is called Supreme Court Number of Judges Act 1956. This is the law. If you ever want to increase the number of judges, modify or amend the law to increase the judges. For example, the first time it was increased from 7 plus 1, 8 to 11, then to 14 in 1960, then to 18 in 1978, then to 26 in 1986, then to 31 in 2009, and the last time in 2019. So that is the current situation. Currently, how many judges do we have? Chief Justice of India plus 33 Supreme Court judges. This is the current situation of our Supreme Court. We have 34 judges in the Supreme Court. Are we clear? One small point. Where did we see this law earlier? I have mentioned this law as an example in some other case. Please write where did I quote this law, Supreme Court Number of Judges Act, as an example. Let's see how effectively we are revising the topics also. Silent. Nobody is writing anything. President, simple majority, special. Great. Keep on guessing. I gave this example in some other place also. No correct answer so far. This law called Supreme Court Number of Judges Act, I gave this as an example somewhere while teaching a topic. Not a single correct answer. I gave this as an... Okay. Dhaval, can you please clarify? So, no. Though it is causing some kind of pain here, but it's okay. I gave this example while I was discussing passage of bills, the passage of financial bills type 2, article 117 clause 3, when I said that a bill contains ordinary matters of legislation but will involve some expenditure from CFI, and I gave this example only. I hope you at least remember that. That is now more important, right? Okay, great. Now, at the same point, I'd like to also tell you one very important factor. As far as the Supreme Court is concerned, to increase the number of judges, we require the Parliament's authority, meaning legislative action is required. But how do you increase the number of judges in the High Court? To increase the number of judges in the High Court, there is no need to pass any law or anything. You can simply do it through what? Through the President's order. So, to increase the number of judges in the Supreme Court, Parliament is needed to make a law, and to increase judges in High Court, President is needed to through an executive action. So, for Supreme Court, legislative action, yes or no? Legislative action, Parliament. And for the High Courts, executive action, meaning the President. So please remember this. And this is also a point mentioned under Article 124, Clause 1. Okay. Now, solve this question first. Came in 2014. A very challenging and difficult question. I'll give you 30 seconds. Please mark the answer. Done? Okay, 85% have marked the correct answer. Great. The right answer is, of course, B, the Parliament. The power to increase the number of judges in the Supreme Court of India is vested in the Parliament. Moving on. Now comes the big question, appointment. Article 124, Clause 2 deals with appointment. So, what is this system? This is the constitutional provision. Okay, we'll firstly read what is mentioned in the Constitution. The Constitution says every judge of the Supreme Court shall be appointed by the President. Fair enough. By a warrant under his hand and seal. So warrant under hand and seal actually symbolizes a mark of status and respect. So basically, you will also, as an IAS officer, be appointed by the president only, but the president will not sign your appointment order. Some secretary will sign the order on behalf of the president. But to appoint the Supreme Court judges, the president personally signs and his seal is used. In your school days, the class toppers, their progress report was signed by the principal himself or herself. But for all other people, a stamp was used. That, okay, come on, take it, just a stamp. But for class toppers, the principal signed himself or herself. Mark of respect, same thing here. So warrant under hand and seal symbolizes status of a person. Now, so first thing is, every judge of the Supreme Court shall be appointed by the president. So the constitution is very clear that it wants the judges to be appointed by the president. Now comes the real catch. How? So the constitution says, after consultation. Consultation. With whom? With such of the judges of Supreme Court. So consultation with judges of Supreme Court and High Courts. Interesting, right? The constitution says that when the president is trying to appoint a Supreme Court judge, he should consult judges of Supreme Court, also judges of High Courts. Which judges? As the president may deem necessary for the purpose. So which judges should he consult? As the president may deem necessary. He can consult anyone. Nothing is mentioned. Should he consult CJI? Maybe. Supreme Court judges? Maybe. Junior most judge? Maybe. Senior most judge? Maybe. Chief Justice of Madras High Court? Maybe. Chief Justice of Sikkim High Court? Maybe. Clear? And for the purpose. And every judge shall hold office until he attains the age of 65. So the age of retirement of Supreme Court judges is 65 years. That's the age of retirement. There is no mention of age of appointment. Sorry, minimum age of appointment, not minimum age of appointment is not mentioned. And there is no minimum age of appointment also. Okay, that's it. But we know very well there is a system in place in our country. That system is called the collegium system. This is the collegium system. Okay. So the appointment formally is done by the president only. For Supreme Court judges, for High Court judges, and also for the transfer. TFR stands for transfer of the TFR stands for transfer of such judges. Meaning transfer of judges from the one high court to another. But the point is, what is this collegium? Collegium refers to group of people. So this collegium system refers to group of people who the president should consult. Now, this question of appointment, see, as a matter of practice, till 1980s, the government used to always ask the Supreme Court, give us some names, and Supreme Court used to give some names, and the government used to appoint them only, right? This was usually a practice. But in 1982, a very famous case came up that became known as the first judge's case. And that was the SP Gupta case. SP Gupta was basically Advocate General of UP. He passed away recently. I think last year in January he passed away. So he was the Advocate General of UP, SP Gupta. Anyway, in this case, questions were raised about the appointment of High Court judges, right? Not Supreme Court, High Court judges. And the question raised was that, we are seeing this word consultation, that the president should consult. What is consultation? Consultation, does it mean concurrence? Does it mean binding? Let's say I have to purchase something and I consult you, and you tell me that please don't purchase. Should I follow your advice? Is it binding on me? The point is, consultation is never binding. I am only seeking your opinion. So this question was asked that if the Supreme Court is giving some opinion, is that binding on the president? So in this case, the Supreme Court said that consultation is not binding, but it must be effective, not for namesake. You have to properly consult the Supreme Court judges. And here only for the first time, the Supreme Court said that, see, consultation has to be meaningful, consultation has to be purposeful, consultation has to be result oriented. Don't simply formally say, okay, I have asked you, that's it. No, consult them, take their opinion into consideration. Finally, act on your own only, but give due respect to their opinion. Okay. And it is in this particular case where Supreme Court said that, see, you can't consult one person, consult a group of judges. So a reference was made to consult a group of judges for the first time. But anyway, it was still left open for the governments to decide on their own. Again, this matter went to court in 1993. This became known as the Supreme Court Advocates on Record Association case. Now, in between, what happened was that in 1987, one law commission was there, 121st Law Commission. This law commission said that, why should we consult Supreme Court judges? Let us consult a separate commission only called NJAC. We'll discuss that later on. So in the meantime, lot of issues came up wherein lot of people started saying, why to consult Supreme Court judges while appointing Supreme Court judges? Consult some other people. So this question was again taken to court, that Supreme Court, you decide whom should we consult. Is consultation mandatory? Is the opinion binding? Suddenly, Supreme Court had a change of opinion only. Supreme Court said, yes, consultation is binding on the president. Supreme Court said in the second judge's case, consultation means concurrence. What is concurrence? It means opinion of Supreme Court is binding on the president. Suddenly, Supreme Court changed the meaning of consultation only. Please refer to your dictionaries and read the meaning of consultation. Is consultation binding? Of course not. But Supreme Court said, yes, it is binding. When we give the advice, you have to follow it. And one more thing, whom should you consult? Article 124 says, consult any judge of Supreme Court, High Court. Supreme Court said, no, not any judge. 3 senior most judges of the Supreme Court. And you have to consult 3 senior most Supreme Court judges. That is CJI and 2 senior most Supreme Court judges. They need to be consulted. This is the origin of the concept of collegium, group of judges. Which group? Three senior most judges. But the matter did not end here. This matter went again to Supreme Court, which popularly became the third judge's case. It is here that the concept of collegium was finalized. It is here that the Supreme Court finally said that this is what is the system, and this is the system which is currently in practice. Okay, which is this entire system, which is a result of third judge's case. Let's do one thing. Let's end our discussion here only. In the next class, I'll explain the entire system of collegium. What exactly is the system going to be in the situation? How to appoint Supreme Court judges? How to appoint High Court judges? How to transfer one judge from the High Court to the judge from one High Court to the other? This is a current system which is a result of three judges case, the though the original collegium concept came in a reference in SP Gupta, and it was actually given in the second judge's case, where three senior most, three meaning Chief Justice is the senior most judge, of course, and two other senior most judges. So 1 plus 2. That's called the three senior most judges. Are they clear? So let's end this discussion here only. In the next class, we'll take up for discussion the very important element of judiciary. That's all for me, guys. Jai Hind. And now I'll take your concerns. Yes, coming to somebody who had a issue, Neil, regarding revision. So as I have said again and again, it is very, very important to read the slides again and again. So at least 6 to 7, 8, 10 times, try to read the slides. The more you read, the more you try to retain. Then if you have some friends, family members, ask them to randomly ask you questions from the slides. Number 2. Number 3, solving MCQs. So online you will have various platforms, portals, etc. Telegram channels. I can't mention those things because that would be also breaching some intellectual property of some other say organization. So I can't mention those, but you can simply Google search for it. Okay, and you will get plenty of mock tests from various organizations. Solve those, or else purchase Lakshmikant's Objective Polity book. There is also a separate book called Objective Polity by Lakshmikant. It only has questions. Solve that. The more questions you solve, the more confident you are, the more information you retain, right? And revision can be a boring exercise, I understand, but if you don't revise, you won't be able to retain information, right? So that is how it is going to be. Revise multiple times, solve MCQs, ask for your friends, family members to ask you questions. That's how you make it more fun. Okay, that is how it is going to be. Simple revision exercise. And please attempt all the previous year questions that you have seen today. Find out others also. Refer to the videos recorded that are there available in your tablet. We have all the PYQs recorded with full explanation. See them, then write the answer and send your answer to Target IAS. Get all the answers evaluated by the Target IAS team. Okay, and please don't write answers in any random piece of paper. Every answer should be written on an A4 sheet of paper, a blank piece of paper with margin on both the sides. Take answer writing seriously. It's not a joke. So don't write on some ruled paper, square paper, etc. No, you are spending so much money. Spend a bit more. Purchase some UPSC answer writing format. It's available on Amazon, online, offline, various places. So please write answers on that only and get answers evaluated by the Target IAS team, not your friends. Okay, that's there. Let me see the doubts first. Swati, I have no idea whether students preparing from home are getting highest rank. That may not be the case. But see, frankly, the point is that you have to at least devote full time to self study, because see here, your entire Saturday Sunday is wasted in studying only. Then you have only 5 days. Now imagine somebody has already studied the topic, so they are also utilizing Saturday and Sunday to solve mock tests, write answers, etc. So self study is what is going to help you clear the examination. After you have attended all the classes, self studies. Okay. uh, Nitesh, sir, in the constitution it is written on recommendation of NJAC. No, Nitesh, that's incomplete reading. If you refer to that constitution, there's also a star mark. And below that, in that same page, the bottom footnote, it is mentioned, this has been cancelled, struck down by the Supreme Court in the fourth judge's case, Supreme Court Advocates on Record case 2015. So that NJAC has been removed by the Supreme Court in 2015. We'll discuss that, don't worry. So when you read the constitution, when a star mark is there somewhere, read the footnote also. So there is no NJAC now. It has been removed by the Supreme Court. Shiva, FC make report of what expenditures made or what should be made. What should be made? They give suggestions. Ankit, upper ceiling limit. See, what is ceiling? The roof is ceiling. So the professional tax has a limit. No state government can charge more tax than the upper limit of 2500 rupees. That's the limit. You can't tax more than that. It is a very small limit, 2500 rupees for the entire year, very small. So if you can tax them more, you can get more revenue. So we have to increase the limit from 2500 to at least say 12,000. Jail term for 1-2 days. No, Shiva. Jail term is very harsh. We can't suggest jail term and all. Okay. Next Saturday, practice questions. We'll have practice questions first. Half an hour will be 10 questions of practice only. We'll have that every time. Okay. Now, let's come here. Shalu, recommendation. Yes, recommendation is not binding on IS officer. Jadeshwar, Indian constitution, no, not mandatory, but at least read those articles I tell you are important on your own. You should at least read them on your own. Lekha says she wants to see the leaderboard. Oh, because Lekha is one of the toppers in the leaderboard. Okay, Kajal, Neil, Deepak, Yash, Siva, Kishan, Avani, Lekha, Sayadri, Venkatnala and Dhaval scored 40 points each, toppers. Great. Kajal, sir, can you please list the chapter number from Lakshmikant we have covered till now? We have covered chapter 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 38, 39, 76, 52, 10, 12. These chapters we have covered. It is all mentioned in the annotation PPTs. You have to take the effort to simply go there and look at the PPTs. ERM SETI programs are decided based on the availability of the faculty as well. Sushri, sir, collegium consists of 3 senior most judges. Then in Supreme Court, it consists of CJ and 4 senior most judges. 3 senior most judges, meaning Chief Justice of India is always the senior most judge, right? So when I wrote here 3 senior most judges, let me rectify this point only to remove it. Remove it. Once in the next class, I'll explain, then you'll understand. Let me write CJI plus 2 senior most Supreme Court judges. Are we clear now? I hope this point is clear. Okay. Basically, Chief Justice is a senior most Supreme Court judge. That is a mandate. Whoever is a senior most becomes the Chief Justice. That is automatic. Professional tax is not collected. It can be collected every month, but the upper limit is 2,500 per year. So if you are paying professional tax every month, you are ideally paying 200 rupees only per month. I may not be able to get the individual score of people because I only see the top scorers. Are we going to discuss NJSC versus collegium debate? Yes, of course. NJSC is important. I'll explain to you what happened in NJSC, why was it removed, everything in detail. But next class. Vacant president? Okay. Okay. Any other doubts that remain? Who pays professional tax? Shiva, you will pay professional tax when you start working. Or if you're working, please check your salary slip. You're already paying professional tax. We are paying professional tax. Everybody has to. It's mandatory. Every taxpayer has to additionally take a pay professional tax. Don't worry, it is very small amount. In nation building, it is okay to spend money to provide money to the government. Sushri, sir, my professional tax is 200 per month. So 200 per month is what? 200 into 12 per year is 2400. What's the limit? 2500. So you are eventually paying tax which is maximum 2500. So it is less than 2500. That's what I'm saying. Yes, it's a direct tax only, Shalu. Great. Okay, guys. So I hope your questions have been addressed. If not, they'll be addressed by the subject expert. And till then, that's all for me, guys. Please revise, please study. This exam is important. A lot rides on this examination. And in case you want to contribute to nation building, it is very, very important to have this kind of, clear this examination and hold par. You see, currently, this country is full of divisive forces. The only way to stop it is to gain power and take the right steps in the right direction. Okay, so that's all for me, guys. Let's meet in the next week, hoping for a proper revision and thorough exercise of attempting all the questions, writing answers. Till then, that's all for me. Jai Hind.